How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson around the country, coast to coast, all the way to Alaska. We're working on Hawaii. We've made it to Alaska. We made it to Florida, South Florida, where it's warm. We've made it up the East Coast. We've made it all the way to Montana. We're out in California, all over now. Welcome. The phone number is 877-973-7425 if you wish to be on the program. Did you know something? Which Republican member of Congress has gotten a lot of money from the Marouk family of Texas? Why is the Marouk family notable? Well, the Marouk family has given money to Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, all far-left progressive members of the squad, and one Republican. One Republican. Any idea? Got multiple members of this family have given one Republican money and then funded the progressive Islamists in the House of Representatives. Do you know which Republican that would be? Thomas Massie of Kentucky, who in 2023 became the only Republican to join Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush in opposition to a bill that would sanction the Ayatollah of Iran. Yeah, process that. Yeah. A Muslim family in Texas that promotes the most radical Democratic members of Congress, from Ilhan Omar to Rashida Tlaib, is also funding Thomas Massie. Those of you in Kentucky, think about that. Now, while all of this is happening, there's a very, very, very weird thing going on where you have Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson now being joined by Joe Kent to spread a lot of anti-Israel conspiracy theories and try to undermine the president's agenda, particularly in Iran. Tucker Carlson, who most of you don't listen to, has on Jang Ki Quinn, who I mentioned the other day, is cast as a Chinese professor. He's actually a high school teacher and a brand new Chinese propagandist who has only just taken off. And isn't it a coincidence? This guy who no one heard of a month ago suddenly exploded on social media. He's suddenly on Tucker Carlson's show, and he is celebrated by Alexander Dugin, who is Vladimir Putin's philosopher in residence. In fact, Alexander Dugin has been promoting Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Joe Kent and all these other people. There's also a rich Scientologist in London who has been floating lots of money and claims, now bought into the conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's death, which is kind of bizarre. You know, we actually have Charlie Kirk's murder in prison. The guy actually confessed, and he was a transgender activist who confessed to his family he was in a gay relationship with someone transitioning, and decided that Charlie Kirk needed to be taken out. And what did Candace Owens and these other people do? They started spreading conspiracy theories that maybe it was the Jews. These conspiracy theories were amplified by pro-Kremlin websites. And a lot of people for a long time have been asking, is Tucker Carlson getting money from the Qataris? What's going on? I myself have wondered. But what I keep seeing coming up now is this Alexander Dugin guy, who is very close to Vladimir Putin. And I'm wondering, to what degree are the Russians trying to subsidize this stuff to undermine the United States? What is Vladimir Putin doing in the United States to try to undermine us? Remember, if you go back to the Mueller report about Donald Trump in the 2016 election, what Robert Mueller found was that not that the Russians were trying to get Donald Trump elected per se, but that the Russians were spending money in this country trying to divide Americans. And I don't think the operation has stopped. Remember, it was Tucker Carlson who went to Russia and gave the very famous interview to Vladimir Putin after wandering the Russian grocery store and Subway and claiming how much more awesome it was than the United States. The Russians have a vested interest in dividing the United States. The Russians have a vested interest in undermining what we're doing in Iran. Why? Because Iran is one of the chief outside weapons suppliers for the Russians. While we are blowing up Iran's capacity to make war, we are actually sabotaging the Russians' ability to make war. So many members of the media are talking about, oh, well, the Russians benefit. Look at oil prices. The Russians don't benefit. Their entire drone manufacturing capability, for the most part, is by the Iranians, some of which was produced in Venezuela. And we blew up the factory in Venezuela when we captured Maduro. And now we've blown up the factories in Iran. And so suddenly you've got this hysteria out there. And there's also something notable. There are a number of people, all of them tied to Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, of course, turned out to be one of Jeffrey Epstein's besties. He showed up in the Epstein files almost 2,000 times, had more than 2,000 text messages with Jeffrey Epstein. They ridiculed Donald Trump's intelligence. They plotted against the Catholic Church. They plotted against Donald Trump. They had recreational visits. Jeffrey Epstein, Steve Bannon wanted to rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein. He was working on a project to rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein. And it turns out that he and Jeffrey Epstein were far closer than people wanted to believe. And so now you're having these people turn around and defend Steve Bannon and blast anyone who attacks Joe Kent. And last night there was an event in Washington, D.C. called Catholics for Catholics. It was an organization started by Steve Bannon and Mike Flynn. It was the organization Steve Bannon started to undermine the Catholic Church. And only 75 people showed up. That includes members of the press and people who were comped tickets. Joe Kent was honored at the event along with Candace Owens. That Carrie Prejean porn star lady was there. And only 75 people showed up. You know, this needs to be said. Believing your own press is one of the most fatal mistakes a lot of people in politics make. You get into an echo chamber. You seed the echo chamber with 1,000 bots who regurgitate everything you say. At some point, you become convinced that you're in the majority and that you're right. I think the backlash we're seeing from people like Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and the human events guys and some of these other people, that they're very, very angry that Donald Trump is in Iran. They're very, very angry that people don't believe Joe Kent. They're very, very angry. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there attacking the Republicans and attacking Donald Trump. I think these people really thought they were the majority. They built an echo chamber, and inside the echo chamber, their talking points were regurgitated so much, they really began to believe they were the majority, and they never were. There's a lot of polling that's come out in the last couple of weeks, and what does that polling show? That polling shows that most Americans are actually supportive of a short war with Iran. More Americans hate Iran than anything other than the Democratic Party. And as Harry Inton pointed out on CNN just the other day, 100% of self-described MAGA supports the president right now. 95% of them support the engagement in Iran. We're seeing a meltdown from the malcontented voices who have peddled the Russian propaganda and the Iranian propaganda, who believed they were in the majority and suddenly realized they're not. It was all a paper tiger. They concocted this bot-driven echo chamber on social media to regurgitate themselves. Many of these people, I suspect, have driven up their own popularity by buying. You know, this is something some of the people who have massive followings on, for example, YouTube, what they do is they pay people in India who have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of accounts to go like, follow, and subscribe. I got to rely on you guys to go to YouTube and like, follow, subscribe. And if you text Eric to 33777, I'll send you the link, and you can like, follow, subscribe me on YouTube. What these people do is they hire what are called bot farms. They're prevalent in Bangladesh and India. And those people, when they go on YouTube, they immediately go on, they like, subscribe, they follow, they circulate. You saw this the other day with Tucker Carlson when he was interviewing Joe Kent. By the way, that interview with Joe Kent was run almost live with translation in Iran on Iranian television. And then it was regurgitated, clipped, and circulated by a bunch of bot accounts from the Middle East and from India. And it amplified the message. It looks like Tucker Carlson is getting millions of views, and actually it's bot farms. And by the way Twitter counts views, if you connect to a video for 3 seconds, you're counted as a view. We're seeing this with Candace Owens, it seems like, how rapidly when she puts up a video somewhere, it takes off, but none of those accounts have any interactions. It looks like bots. This is all manufactured. They built for themselves a Potemkin village of support for their cause. And in the last week, as the president invaded Iran, it turns out that most Republicans support it. His supporters overwhelmingly support it. And the Joe Kents of the world got rejected. And these people are furious. They hitched their wagon to Jeffrey Epstein's BFF. The Russians have probably thrown money. Remember, there was that one PR group that used social media to seed stories, and it turns out the Russians had been funding them, and they hired some prominent right-wing bloggers to seed stories that were pro-Russia, and they got caught. And by the way, the owners were Canadian. The indictment ultimately got dismissed when Donald Trump got elected, but the underlying accusations have remained that the Russians were trying to seed stories that were anti-America, pro-Russia, anti-Ukraine. Y'all, this is manufactured outrage. Be careful. Now, why am I talking to you guys about it? Because I know that you guys aren't on this stuff. You're not fully engaged with this stuff. And I appreciate you very much for not being plugged in and engaged with this stuff. But I got to bring it up for you because I bet some of your friends are influenced by it. Well, maybe not, because it turns out not a lot of people were. But they had this manufactured effort. And it was designed to persuade the president and the president's team. It was designed to persuade the media. It was designed to persuade people that they were the majority, and they've lost it. They failed. You got a radical Islamic group funding Thomas Massie along with Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, trying to make it look like Thomas Massie has a massive grassroots support right now. You've got a massive bot army amplifying these voices online. You know, I'm in a ratings-based business. If you got a show on SiriusXM, you're not in a ratings-based business. I can go to my markets and figure out how many people are listening to me. People have these little meters, and it picks up the subsonic frequencies, and I can get a sense of, am I number one somewhere? How am I rated? How many people are listening? If you're on SiriusXM, you don't have that. They don't really keep those metrics. If you're on YouTube, they have pretty precise metrics, but those metrics can be gamed by bots. And I would just notice that all of the loudest voices about this stuff, they're online in places where you don't have regular, reliable ratings metrics. You're in places that this can easily be gamed, and the media doesn't know any better, and the media amplifies the anti-Trump voices. There has been a concerted propaganda campaign, probably funded by the Russians, if not the Chinese, not the Qataris, to undermine the president, to persuade the president not to side with the Ukrainians, to persuade the president not to invade Iran, and now he's not listening to them. And they are melting down. They convinced themselves they were the majority through their little bot campaign. They believed their own PR. They got high on their own supply, and now they're melting down because it turns out that their puppet master was Jeffrey Epstein's BFF, and they are not the puppet masters of Donald Trump they thought. It turns out Donald Trump is his own man. I had a near-death experience a few years ago. I was given 24 hours to live, and at the time, didn't have a lot of life insurance and had to figure out where to go and what to do to get good term life insurance, take care of my family if something happened. Listen, y'all don't need to go through a near-death experience to realize you need to take care of your family. Go to SelectQuote.com today and start pricing life insurance. SelectQuote makes it super easy for you to take care of your family. If you're new to life insurance, you're not alone. SelectQuote makes it easy. For over 40 years, they've helped more than 2 million Americans understand their options and get the coverage they need. You can do it too. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at SelectQuote.com/Eric. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/Eric, ERICK. Go today, get started, think of your family. SelectQuote.com/Eric. All right, stay on the lines because I will take your phone calls in the next segment, 877-973-7425. In 1993, the year I started college, Walker, Texas Ranger, ran out of funds and shut down production midway through shooting its first season. It hadn't even aired yet. It was out of money. So CBS decided to air the pilot as a 2-hour Chuck Norris movie on April 21st, 1993. And it blew the ratings out of the water, so much so that CBS decided to fund the show. And it ran for 8 seasons, finally ending in 2001, making Chuck Norris, beyond just the celebrity that he had had from action movies, but a household name with the TV show. He is dead today at 86 in Hawaii. All-around good guy. Was a pretty explicitly a Republican, backed Mike Huckabee in 2008, in fact. Mike Huckabee, let me see if I can find it. I think I bookmarked it. Mike Huckabee did an ad in 2008 in his presidential campaign.
My plan to secure the border, 2 words: Chuck Norris.
Mike Huckabee's a lifelong hunter who'll protect our Second Amendment rights.
There's no chin behind Chuck Norris's beard, only another fist.
Mike Huckabee wants to put the IRS out of business.
When Chuck Norris does a push-up, he isn't lifting himself up. He's pushing the earth down.
Mike's a principled, authentic conservative.
Chuck Norris doesn't endorse. He tells America how it's going to be.
Mike Huckabee for president. What a great ad. You know what's also great is Renai and its tankless water heaters, where we don't run out of hot water in our house at all. You got to have natural gas or propane, and it just works. We yanked our tanks out. We had 2 tank water heaters. They were electric. They covered the whole house. They were smaller. They were actually in the crawl space under our house. And we decided to get rid of them, to yank them out when one of them broke, and it flooded the crawl space of our house. I was like, you know what? I've always wanted a tankless water heater from Renai. Let's do it. So we did. And we put one in, and now we never run out of hot water. In fact, our power bill went down thanks to the tankless water heater from Renai. If you go to talkingtankless.com, you can find out how to put one in your house like we did. It might help you with your power bills. You're never going to run out of hot water. They are highly efficient. They're very reasonably priced. Go to talkingtankless.com. You'll be able to click a button to talk to a Renai professional of putting a tankless water heater in your house, and you have hot water forever. TalkingTankless.com is the website. TalkingTankless.com. Yank your tank, get a tankless water heater from Renai, and never run out of hot water again. I have to confess, I am a betting snob because, I just, no offense, you stay at somebody's house and the mattress is like 15 years old and you sink into it, you get a backache. Same with my house. I don't like to have a mattress for more than 8 to 10 years, depending on the mattress. I'm a heavy guy trying to lose weight, and I discovered Brooklyn Bedding. I didn't want to pay $1 bajillion for a mattress, but I wanted a good mattress. I wanted one made in the USA. I wanted one with coils, and I wanted the Brooklyn Bedding mattress. It's one of the few mattress brands endorsed by the American Chiropractic Association for spinal alignment and back health, and they're 100% fiberglass free for peace of mind. Go to brooklynbedding.com. Use my promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout. Get 30% off site-wide. The offer is not available anywhere else. It's brooklynbedding.com. The promo code is ERIC for 30% off site-wide. Support the show and get a great mattress. brooklynbedding.com. The promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. I got to play you this from Atlanta, Georgia. You got to listen to this.
Behind the camera this morning with me, Roger, give them this perspective. It's unbelievable. Thousands and thousands of travelers just trying to get through the main TSA checkpoint. They have wrapped this line through the baggage claim area over here by Delta, and I got to...
That's Two Dead Mayors International Airport in Atlanta, Georgia. The lines across the country are insane. The TSA line in Houston, Texas right now is a 150-minute wait. In LaGuardia Airport, the line stretches for more than 2 hours through their parking lot and parking deck. At John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California, there's hardly anybody going through a line. In Orlando, Florida, the line is tremendous. In San Francisco, California, the line for security, the waiting for security is 2 minutes. 2 minutes in San Francisco. A friend of mine's parents went to Las Vegas this morning. They got to the airport 3 hours before their flight, and they made it to the flight 15 minutes before closing. Right now at the Atlanta airport, the average wait time is 75 minutes. Right now at 2:38 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, it is 75 minutes. For the main checkpoint in Atlanta, Georgia, for pre-check, it's 47 minutes. In San Francisco, right now, it is 2 minutes to get through security. How is it that San Francisco, one of the most screwed up operational cities in the United States and around the world, how is it only 2 minutes there when a city like Atlanta, Georgia, it's taken over an hour to get through? And in the morning rush, it took 3 hours to get through security? Is because San Francisco International Airport privatized TSA. They are one of 20 airports nationwide that entered into a program to hire private contractors to handle passenger screenings at TSA. They presumed that TSA was going to be privatized by the federal government anyway, and so in San Francisco, they went on and joined a program to privatize TSA at their airport, and right now, TSA at San Francisco International Airport is fully functional, and the average wait time is 2 minutes. In Atlanta, Georgia, where they did not participate in the program, but it is directly operated by the federal government, it's a multi-hour delay at the busiest airport on planet Earth. And the union representing the Transportation Safety Administration is opposed to privatization and has fought congressional efforts to privatize TSA. So, of all the most absurd things you'll ever hear, in San Francisco, California, the TSA is privatized and functioning normally. And in Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas, and elsewhere, TSA is run by the federal government and is completely broken and shutting down. And TSA is announcing that next week they expect to start closing regional airports around the country due to manpower shortages. John Ossoff, my senator who is up for re-election this year in the United States Senate, is blocking the reopening of TSA and the funding of TSA. The Democrats in the United States Senate refuse to fund TSA. And airports around the country are starting to strain and break. At a time of war, the Transportation Security Administration is unable to secure our airports because Democrats want to open border, and so they want to defund Border Patrol and ICE. They either want our airports unsecured or our borders unsecured, and they're demanding that Republicans take a pick. And Republicans are saying no dice, fund it all. And the Democrats are refusing. So if you're traveling and you're stuck in an airport line, you understand the Democrats are holding you hostage because the Democrats either want an unsecured border or an unsecured airport, and they're telling the Republicans to pick, and the Republicans are holding the line. Now, to the phone calls we go. Let's see. I want to go first to Linda. Welcome to the program. Linda, how are you?
I'm doing well. Picking your brain.
Okay.
If you have any insights on prescription drug prices or any pressures I'm not aware of, anything funky with the insurance companies. And what prompts this question is when I went to pick up my husband's refill of Eliquis, the first one for this calendar year, the copay had jumped from, I think it was $11.90 to $163 and change. And the insurance company person that I spoke to said she'd gotten a whole lot of calls specifically about the Eliquis. Any thoughts on this?
Have you tried this new Trump program?
Which one?
There's the Trump website. What is it? It's the medicine website for what is it? Trump medicine. Even you had Mark Cuban, who hates Trump, was praising it the other day that it's able to get prices down. TrumpRx.gov.
I will take a visit.
Okay, TrumpRx. So it's Eliquis you're talking about?
Yep.
All right. Now, how do you spell Eliquis?
E-L-I-Q-E-L. E-L-I-Q-U-I-S.
All right. It doesn't look like I got it. It doesn't look like they've got it there. But let's see. Is there a generic brand? A pack. That's what it is. A-P-I.
A-P-I-X-A-B-A-N. I'm looking at the bottles.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I don't see it on that website. So here's the deal. So Eliquis doesn't look to be on the website, but they're adding medicines all the time. And so it looks like there are 54 right now. It looks like they're mostly weight loss, but they're not all weight loss. They're adding to it. And what's happening is they're dropping prices pretty significantly. And so there may be an Eliquis competitor that's on the website. I would dig around and look. It's TrumpRx.gov, and they actually are bringing down prices on this website. So, for example, I'm looking at some of them, and I mean these prices are actually staggeringly cheap. For a lot of these, for a lot of the medications. So, for example, I'm looking. I don't even know what some of these medicines are, but so Tovias is one, and it's normally $290, and you can get it for $29. Fesoteridine from Pfizer. So I would keep looking at that website, and if there's an alternative to Eliquis you could use that's on the website, you may be able to get some cheap medicines there. Again, even Mark Cuban. Now, I'm not a real big fan, just so you understand, because essentially it's a government-powered shakedown of the pharmaceutical companies, but it's working for you. And so you present a coupon to your pharmacy, and you get the savings. You can print out the coupons and the like. You go to TrumpRx.com, see if your medicine's on there, and if it is, you get incredible savings thanks to what the president's done. And even Mark Cuban, who hates the president, out there saying he's actually bringing these costs down. Travis, you're going to be up next on the Eric Erickson Show. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm great. What's going on?
I listened to you a while back and got a kick out of something you were talking about, the Chihuahuas. I don't have a Chihuahua, but I'm a licensed falconer.
Really?
And I hunt with a Harris Hawk and use a miniature Dachshund to hunt with.
All right.
A 12-pound miniature Dachshund.
Okay. So we may have an exception to the rule here. Now, okay, can you fit your Dachshund in a purse?
He can fit in a small carrier. He can fit in a cat carrier.
Okay. All right. Okay. So not one of those little travel purses like so. Okay. So but he also he hunts with falcons. So your dog is actually awesome and useful as opposed to a Chihuahua.
Yeah, we hunt quail and pheasant.
All right
mostly.
All right, Travis. Listen, I'm sorry to do this to you, but you can't hang up because I am fascinated. So how did you get into falconry?
Well, I'll be 52 next week, and I've been fascinated with it since I was in my 20s, and then started reading and studying to get licensed, and realized how much of a commitment it was going to be, and decided in my 20s I wasn't ready for such a commitment. Fast forward 20 years later, and
so we're in midlife crisis territory.
I'm sorry?
We're in midlife crisis territory.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, I grew up hunting and fishing with my dad, and raptors have always fascinated me, and I wanted to learn a new way to hunt, and now I hunt with a Harris hawk.
Wow. Father of mine, if you're listening in Louisiana, think about our missed opportunities. We could have gotten into falconry together. Man, I am okay. So how long have you had your bird?
I've had this particular bird a year. He's actually a year old this week.
Wow. So, growing up in Dubai, of course, I have seen falcon, and I have always been fascinated by it just because having grown up around it in Dubai, I never got into it. But that is just fascinating to me, genuinely.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. I got the coolest listeners. This is so cool. And so now what role does the Dotson play with the falcon?
He actually he doesn't point the quail or pheasant like a bird dog would, but he flushes the game. He'll actually go into the brush, sniff them out, flush them.
And the falcon's not hungry for the Dotson?
No.
Wow.
No. He does wear a Kevlar vest just in case.
Just in case that bird is a traitor.
But no, the birds will say they actually follow him. They know he's going to scare the game up, so they follow him through the field because they know he's going to scare game up for them.
All right, man. This is just the coolest conversation I've had this week. I'm so glad you called in. I need to insult little dogs more often.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Yes, thank you so much, Travis. Have a great weekend. Y'all, we got a falconer with a miniature Dotson. I want to go. So I've got friends of mine who've told me I need to go quail hunting, that I would like it. So my buddy David is a professional photographer. He was a youth pastor. And he became so Fisher works for me, just sent me a picture of his Dotson, who is asleep in the backyard on his back. Said this dog will not be. No, the Falcons are going to hunt that dog. But so my buddy David, he got me into fly fishing. Some of y'all know my friend David. He's a photographer. He does Bass Pro Cabell, goes all over the world taking just gorgeous photography. I'm so jealous of the skills, and got me into fly fishing, and he's into turkey. He's obsessed with this particular turkey, and he's like, you'd be bored out of your mind. Everybody tells me you should try turkey hunting once. You'll be bored out of your mind, but you should try it. But they're all like, you should go quail. I've never been quail hunting, and that one seems like you run the dogs through, the quail come up, bam, 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 you're shooting the quail. My wife can have fried quail for supper. I don't know that I want to eat the quail. It's not my favorite food. But wrap it in bacon, and it's not bad. And then fry it. Your quail wrapped in bacon and then fried. I mean, Jesus would love it. But it's not my thing. But I think I'm going to have to try quail hunting at some point. Got all these people who listen in South Georgia, and I need to go down there and quail hunt. But with a falcon, now that would be cool. That would be cool. I think I need to be friends with Travis. All right, Mark, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I was listening to when you were mentioning about Dugin and how he mentions all these kind of right-wingers, I guess. I just remembered, wasn't it 2 years ago that there was a tenant media that they the Russians funneled $10 million through it?
Yeah, that was the name of the company. I couldn't remember it. Yeah, for those of you not familiar with the story, the accusation was, and the Trump administration dismissed a lot of it. A lot of these people had ties into Trump world, but so there was a Canadian company that essentially hired people on social media to elevate stories, and the Russians were funneling money into this media company, allegedly, and they were amplifying anti-Ukraine, pro-Russia stories. And the Russians have been doing this through various entities for a while. And this Alexander Dugin guy, I've kept seeing his name come up for a while. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, and started researching. He is Vladimir Putin's essentially in-house philosopher, and he has been grooming right-wing and left-wing voices that are sympathetic to the Russians. Woos them, elevates them, puts them on the Kremlin's map and stuff. And I don't doubt that the Russians are behind the scenes, and they may not be doing it directly. Like there was some of this in this media company. They didn't know the Russians were the ones. The owners did, but the other people didn't. They had no idea. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a degree or two of separation, but the Russians and probably even the Chinese are funneling a lot of this right-wing agitation and left-wing agitation against Donald Trump and the like. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Russians and the Chinese are doing it either directly or indirectly and elevating some of these people. Remember, Steve Bannon's got very close ties to a guy who was tied to the Chinese Communist Party and also to a number of the Russians. And, I mean, we're looking at an axis power alignment in the world of the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, formerly the Venezuelans and Cubans, and the North Koreans against the United States. And a lot of these people are allied with that axis, not because they're necessarily opposed to the U.S., although many of them are. A lot of them just want to watch the world burn. They think they can rebuild it in their image. And I do think that at the end of the day, one of the issues with Bannon and those around him is that he wants the collapse of the United States, and he really is arrogant enough to believe he can rebuild it in his own image. And so the enemies of our enemies are our friends, and that goes into a lot of the nihilistic thinking of these people out there. They just want to watch the world burn, thinking arrogantly that they can rebuild the world in their image if the world around them collapses.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
There is some breaking news as we get out of here that you need to know about. The commander of the Basij, that is the Iranian militia, he has been killed, replaced by a new commander who has been killed, and now the third replacement has also been killed, along with Ismail Magadam, the intelligence chief of the Basij. Ali Mohammed Naeem, the spokesperson for the IRGC, is now dead. Mehdi Garish, the head of aerospace for the IRGC, is now dead, and Kavus Darood, the head of special forces for the IRGC, is now also dead. We now also know that there are reports coming from inside Iran, the militia members turning on each other, and IRGC personnel beginning to leave the country, some of them headed to Afghanistan. There are unconfirmed reports that within the IRGC, commanders are starting to target each other for signs of disloyalty. So the infighting within Iran is beginning to happen right on schedule as the American Marines are headed towards the Middle East. They'll be there in about a week. Some are being expedited by plane to get to the Middle East. We have begun strafing the coast with A-10s, which means we have air supremacy, and the Israelis are continuing to target the police state so that a popular uprising can happen. The level of destruction and death of senior leadership escalates as our bombings escalate in Iran. This is all good news. We're headed in the right direction. Now, what if you're not headed in the right direction with your computers? Vision Computers can help you. If you call them at 404-COMPUTER, go to visioncomputers.com. They can build you new computers, and if they do, their tech support comes with the computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTER, go to visioncomputers.com. They build you new computers. They can upgrade your computers. They can even just be your IT support for your home computer or for your whole office. Your employees get a special number, and this is the thing that sets Vision Computers apart, y'all. When you call them, you're going to talk to a human being, and they'll answer the phone in 15 seconds or less. So if you need help with your computer, if you need tech support, you're going to get an actual human being on the phone, not an AI chatbot, and you're going to do it faster than you can do a search on Google. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you, save even more money. Let Vision Computers handle all of your tech support, computer upgrades, and new computer builds.